What is good, y'all? It's Casper. Today's video I'm gonna be talking about the third season, episode 6 of Tulsa King. Season 3, episode 6 of Tulsa King is called Bubbles. It's 40 minutes, directed by Joe Chappelle. This is literally a flyby episode, straight up. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of topics that are on my list of like, what the heck is going on? Straightforward, what is going on with Bill? That's a story on its own, and that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Agent Musso was involved with something along those lines. It's going to be very interesting. Been bringing up here and there about Armand, and Armand actually had his body actually shown on screen, but in the worst way. Literally one of those episodes as well that gives you those rushes of knowing that a lot of stuff is building up from just one scenario. That's one thing about this Tulsa King show, is that it's really good on kind of leaving a crazy scenario in the last episode and then bringing something up in the next episode. I noticed right away how in the last episode we saw how the inspector got killed and how Manfredi wanted to make it look like it was an accident. We started this episode on that perspective of how Bodhi ends up dealing with the body, but it was very quick. Basically just left it in the beginning scene. Obviously it's going to have some repercussions, but in the perspective of an inspector kind of dying, and especially Dunmire, being involved with that, very, very interesting to see how even on Dunmire's side, dealing with the officials on his side, very, very insane to know that Dunmire's perspective is, that was something that shouldn't happen. You messed up my plans. Let's move to the next one. And Dunmire, literally his personality is, I'm a boss and I can't believe this didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. Very interesting points from this episode where I'm like, whoa, the directions of detail is going to be really good to see. Those are just some of the points. There are definitely smaller points that are surrounding this Tulsa King world and surrounding Manfredi as well. What a ride that we're honestly on. One thing I did enjoy about this episode, the gang is super involved. The acting with the gang is great. The costume design is once again excelling. Really like how the people behind the scenes are really good at this costume design. A lot of this stuff is just very, very sharp, and very hilarious too how Bodhi's never really in a suit, but he still has his look always matches his personality. So they're very, very good at costume design. In this episode we see a lot more freshness from Dwight, a lot more freshness from Tyson. Bigfoot as well gets involved with the dapperness. We've seen Dwight, Tyson, and Bigfoot head over to meet Quiet Ray. The lines for him are very insane. He wants to basically kind of own what Dwight is building up, the bourbon. The clashes of the boss's egos is very, very wild to see in this episode, because when we see Quiet Ray do his thing, we also have Dunmire's son Cole trying to basically put a name for himself, because he can definitely see that his pops is being disappointed with a lot of the stuff Manfredi is just handling. But we're seeing how Manfredi is going to deal with Quiet Ray in this episode. One thing about that interaction, one, the vibe of it, everything looks fresh, everything looks clean, everything looks like a boss. The lines, the direction from Stallone, Tyson, and even Bigfoot all represented very, very well class and I'm not messing around style. I do want to mention with the interaction with Dwight and Quiet Ray, really like how the personalities of those bosses are very similar in aspects of knowing that these bosses have rules that they follow. They're both similar in a way. So even though they're bosses and kind of don't like each other, with the fake face have to smile in front of them and say like, how you doing? The mafia style in here is very, very amusing to see, especially the personalities of how a boss really treats themselves and kind of wants to hold themselves together. In this episode too, I really like how we got some really cool cinematic dope movie style again, especially when Quiet Ray and Dwight Manfredi meet up. We see that Cole out of nowhere is spying on them, and great camera direction on that scene. The anticipation was absolutely real. Dunmire in this episode is just more on his revenge. The lines for Dunmire in this episode is straightforward. Let's take out Manfredi. The writing is just something that I'm very impressed on, because you're putting yourself in such a world, a mafia world, that these people are doing a great job on putting this performance out. We do have Mitch in this episode have quite a lot of screen time. He's he's kicking it with Cleo. They end up getting stopped by a highway patrol, but this highway patrol is from Dunmire. These pieces flow very, very well with the scenarios that are brought to us on screens. Mitch is just on this ride. He's committed, and that's one thing I really enjoy, and the performance was strong. Really enjoyed that. And also with other people in this episode like Bodhi and Grace, how they're on a road trip as well doing their thing. All the lines for the bosses are there, and even the people who are working for these bosses, they're there as well. There's just a lot of confrontation going on. We're definitely going to see a war that we already knew that was kind of building, but now to the full extent, it's definitely gonna happen. Another episode where we're just seeing Dwight trying to push his bourbon and doing a lot of stuff in here where he's not letting those plans fail. This episode as well, we do see him get a little personal with his sister, and those are moments in here where you just see full character awesomeness from Stallone, and he's doing a great job, absolutely showing so many different emotions, and this one was another one. Even from Quiet Ray, I would just say the acting performance from him, man, this dude out of nowhere just gave me like Joker vibes. The evilness, the craziness of this guy's personality, his mindset really came out in this episode. So that was just very, very awesome to see, because it's a rival gang so committed in a way to take out Dwight Manfredi and take everything that he has. Shout out to Quiet Ray, who's played by James Russo. The walk, the talk, straight experienced mafia style, say. Very interesting character and interesting boss. Just going back to this craziness of this episode, we later find out that Armand ended up killing himself. Very surprised that they actually showed that part. Not it happening, but like the aftermath. What is going to happen in the next episode? It got brought up, but the next episode is just gonna be a crazy left turn and be like, no way that happened. Interesting perspective on the bourbon stuff, just to add on to it. Very interesting how Dwight's world is changing for him just being involved with bourbon. So very, very crazy. Music score in this episode had its moments, but definitely one of those episodes as well where they could have just changed the music, make it a little bit more on the mafia side, especially with the coolness that they showed in here. Having really cool mafia style Italian music in here would honestly hit. For my watching the third season, episode 6 of Tulsa King, Bubbles out of 10, I'm gonna have to give this episode a 8 out of 10. So that's my review for Tulsa King season 3, episode 6, Bubbles. Shout out to you guys for tuning into the video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.